When I first started transitioning, I honestly thought that um, everything would really be falling into place, right? Like growing more confidence, getting over dysphoria. What else? Um, I finally be happy, which, like, we all have moments, right? Um, but I won't say that all has happened or has yet to happen, at least. Uh, Now, mind you, transitioning has changed my life tremendously, but it doesn't solve every problem that I have. So I want to talk about it. The least I could do is play some music. Let me get y'all set real quick. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, let me get this video started for real. Hold on. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mark, and I usually make videos sharing my experience as a black trans man navigating life, identity, and really like a sense of belonging. And today's video isn't about me regretting my decision to transition. Like, transitioning has absolutely changed my life for the better in every way, shape, form possible that I can absolutely think of. The synopsis of this video diary today is to discuss how, as I said, it doesn't solve every problem. So, you know, transition being one of the best decisions that I think I've ever made in my life, and probably the only decision that I think I have had where I stood 10 toes down on something. Like, I didn't look back on it and be like, oh my God, like, I'm going to regret this. Or, like, if I decide to transition, like I'm gonna regret it over the next 10 years. Like, I know for a fact, like, me right now is probably like the best physical version of me, right? Like, and like I said, when I'm talking about physical, like, I feel great. Apparently, I look great. Like, all of that fits in. Now, I will say, like, transitioning doesn't replace healing, right? So, like, I have moments where, like, it doesn't replace my therapist, right? I have moments where it doesn't replace my confidence. I even have moments where, like, it doesn't replace me looking at myself and being like, I should love myself more. Like, I also still have dysphoria, and, like, usually you transition to, like, get rid of that dysphoria part of everything, but that doesn't always happen, you know? So all of those things kind of like come into play when, like, I think about my transition, and I think about how, like, navigating this, you think like the world is going to change for the better, and, like, life is going to be like, I don't know, like a Zara Larson music video or something, right? It's just like super bright, colorful. You got pictures everywhere, or not pictures, butterflies flying everywhere, and then it's bright yellows, reds, pastel blues, and it's not, you know. Um, and I have to think about that from time to time, and, like, what that looks like, right? My honest thoughts about, like, transitioning, or like I thought it would do, is like it'll make me feel like, quote unquote, normal. And, like, obviously, as I learned a little bit more about, like, life and kind of like how the systems are set up, one, for me, it doesn't work out for me at all, period, being black and trans. But the other part of it is just kind of like, it's this the patriarchal, cis hetero navigation of systems, white supremacy. So it never doesn't work out for me anyway. So I'm thinking normal, normal in this context is just, being able to live life on a daily, and, um, just walk into spaces that feel normal. And sometimes I do. Like, sometimes I do feel normal when I walk into certain spaces. However, there are times where, like, I do walk into spaces and I have that anxiety of, like, although being straight passing, like, let's just say, like, when I have to go to the bathroom, right? And there's, like, strictly urinals in there, maybe one toilet, mind you. for a complete men's bathroom. I have to go into the stalls. Niggas looking at me. People are looking at me, and they're like, I feel like it's just like they're looking at me, even though they probably don't give a fuck what I'm doing. But it's kind of just like they're probably looking at me and be like, "Why is he going to the stall? There's a empty urinal here, 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 here." Like, it don't make me feel normal sometimes, and I have to do that, right? Loving my body, right? I still have dysphoria, right? Like, right now I'm in this process of like going to training, like trying to eat great, and like I'm doing that, and like mind you, I am very impatient. So like I'll be thinking like I'm supposed to have a snatch waist in 3 days after I lifted good weights and ate good food for 3 days straight, knowing that that's not the case. However, I do it anyway, and I always wish that that can happen. Um, but like loving my body to a certain extent, like I will say it's like majority over that 50% hump. There are times like I'm just kind of like I can't get these love handles off my sides, can't get my stomach flat, can't get my posture right, and most of that is just me still. And obviously diet, that because I know the fitness people will come in my comments and talk about that, but you just have moments of like you have to wait for the progression, and like I said, I'm impatient, so even though I try to wait, I still have days where like I think that too, right? Um, I don't think I feel insecure at all. Sometimes I think transitioning, I thought it would fix the bad days that I had, like when I was in a very big depression, and like moving forward from that, like it would just be strictly good. Wrong. I think too that like I said, I don't think I have any real insecurities, but when I guess they do show up, I'm not sure what they look like, and this is probably just me blinding myself to the reality of whatever insecurities I do have. Not being open to talking about that. The uncomfortable feelings that I have, I always assume that transitioning will really be that missing piece. And, don't get me wrong, all this has changed my life. I think probably dysphoria is the one thing that changed my life to the max in a way, right? But as I just mentioned and kind of like giving a synopsis of everything is that that wasn't really the only thing that was affecting my life. So like continuing to navigating the realities of like being a trans, and like I said, even being straight passing, like when I had to go into queer spaces, right? And like all my friends are still mostly lesbians or women, period. So I'm always using spaces where there's mostly women. If I'm going to queer spaces, people don't know that I'm trans, 'cause I'm straight passing. Like I don't have a flag on me. I don't wear any indicator I'm trans. Some people know me already there, so there's really like no assumption. But it's like make people know that I'm a safe space. Like people can come up to me and say whatever they feel like they need to say. Um, so like now the gay boys coming to me. So it's like it's a lot that goes into this, and it's always just like moments like I said where it's like although they're like I'm having fun, I'm having a good time. I always still like have anxieties and things that come up in moments like this where like I'm in straight in or queer spaces, and transition has fixed that, like I said, to a certain extent. But there are days, like I said, where like I don't really feel that real word of normal, if that makes sense, right? Now what I will say is that like what transitioning has actually done for me is I will say for one, it has made me feel comfortable in like myself, right? Finally learning what the word trans means and kind of like what that encompasses. When I first found out about the term, allowed me to see that future that I didn't see at first, right? And like I said, if you don't know my story, it took years for me to kind of learn about what it means to be trans, what that embodies, and I wanted to embody it in my version of that, right? And I feel like I have. I feel like I've probably exceeded it, even though, like I said, I had days where like I still have body dysphoria, but like embodying it in a way where it feels authentic to me, and like that's kind of like leading into my second part of like what it actually has brought me is like it brought me a level of authenticity. Things that I go to therapy for is that there are times where like I still hide myself, right? And this could be, I think it's childhood trauma, but I also think like I still shield myself to a certain extent because although I am a very open book, right? I still don't really open myself up 100% all of the time. And sometimes doing that, I don't give myself the flexibility to explore deeper in some contexts, and I hide parts of me that would be willing to explore, and I don't actually explore them, right? So, stuff like that just kind of comes up every blue moon that I think about. I would say the last thing probably would be like giving myself peace in my identity. That kind of like ties to the authenticity and like being able to like feel confident in like my voice now, feel confident like my identity and and how I present myself. Like I'm at peace with being where I'm at right now. To be completely honest with you, I like I said, don't regret a day that has passed since I transitioned. I love that at times, and I know I don't do social media too big to the point where like I try to be like a constant content creator, or maybe because I don't have time for it, but also too as well, just at least still getting messages or still meeting people out and them telling me like, hey, I saw you years ago, or like I've been following you since this, that, and the third, social media, whatever. And then they're saying like you have been inspirational to me in like my transition or my kids' transition or this, that, and the third. And like it feels good to like be at peace like with myself to be able to make content like this, to talk about this on like panels and stuff. And um hopefully make a difference to the next generation. Like I said, I know that a lot of people, not just y'all who are watching this video, but like a lot of people that I know personally who are also like, you need to go out and do social media, do this, do that, and third. And like, I hear y'all. It's a lot to keep up with social media now. Like it's so much. It's so many platforms, so much content you have to make. And I'm somebody who outside of my identity do a lot of other things that I love and I'm passionate about. So I feel like I like that to take up more of my time than me. And I'm making content about my identity and it's strictly focused on me being trans. Like I want to be an advocate for younger black trans men to have like my type of lifestyle and things like that. But there are times where like it just doesn't. I don't think it will translate great on camera because part of it feels like I'm boring, like in real life. Like I'm very cool, chill, laid back. I love to have a good time. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I'm very chill, and it's kind of like how my personality is in this video is the exact same as how I am a person. So it's there's things to it that I don't know if people will pick up and be like, oh my god, he's so crazy, he's so great, he's amazing. And I'm like, oh, he's just a guy, and like I am just a boy, I am just a boy. Now I would say one of the problems that has stayed, I'm gonna start with healing because I guess I got childhood trauma, y'all. And not anything that's like, um, I would say crazy. I think it's just like the dynamics of my parents and how they are. I have been in situations where, or a situation, I won't say situations with an S because it wasn't multiple instances, it was just really one in my childhood where, um, it was a dark time and I was extremely young, taken advantage of, and I don't think I really talk about that much. So it's part of that healing process, right? And then navigating the dynamics of my parents who are very they're now like just growing up, but like now we're working on creating a very loving, open, communicative dynamic. But growing up, it's like everybody keeps to themselves. And that's kind of like how we are. So just learning to like grow out of that, and it's me actually coming out as trans. I actually helped them a lot with that and navigating that process. I would say my purpose, like still figuring out kind of like what do I want to be, who do I want to become, and how do I want that to be presented out to the world. I think is the biggest thing, because I have ADHD and I'm also a Gemini. So I love to have variety in everything that I do. And my brain goes at 1,000 miles per hour every single day. So at times like I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, but knowing that I can't do all that because I have to focus on one thing, working on with my therapist. That's just like, I think once I had that answer, it would be great. But that's still a problem that still persists to this day. It's hard out here, y'all. It is not easy. Um, I would say relationships. I would say transitioning doesn't fix how I communicate. And that's part of the healing. And that's also part of me just getting out of this only child syndrome that I have. 'Cause I have only child syndrome. It only is me. So I kind of like to handle everything by myself. So when I am by myself, I don't have to communicate with nobody else, right? Like that's just something I just don't have to do. So working on that, which is the biggest thing in all the relationships that I have had, and part of that is my not like career, because not really career, but what I would consider myself to be a micro influencer to a certain extent, right? Like that always comes into play in what I do, traveling, presentations, all those things. So like that's also just part of the other downside of like my life. But it's just these are problems that stay. And I think the last one would be my mental health. I think that mentally I'm still figuring out how to emotionally regulate everything in my life, from when I have my highs, when I have my lows, when I have issues with friends, when I have issues with relationships. All that still comes up still to this day. And mentally, it's a lot. It's a lot to take on for me. And like I said, I'm a man of many talents. So usually if I am busy, then I'm doing 40 million things at the same time, right? So part of that comes into place, and I don't really take care of my mental health the way that I should. So these are like problems that come in and have stayed still to this day that I'm still working through, and I am seeing the lady. So A for effort right now. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna take it day by day. Um, but transition has helped me like become myself. You know, but then like I also say like you actually gotta learn who that person is over time. You know what I'm saying? And it's just part of the journey. So what I will say is that I think I confused becoming comfortable in my body with becoming emotionally healthy. One, two different journeys, two separate things. Let's start there. I think transitioning gave me the opportunity to heal, and it didn't do the healing for me, right? Like the healing for me is like the additional parts of like the journey that I have to do. Those are things that I have to choose to do and choose to and be intentional about. Let me say that, and be very intentional about progressing in my identity and in my transitioning. Um, and like I still have years of a lot to unpack. Most of that, like I said, it's just trauma, years of fear that I think is there that I don't see, and like I said, I could be blinding myself from that. Um, and I want to say, like people may say, like whenever you're going like a transition or a journey, that people will say like you're not good enough. I've never gotten that type of feedback from my family and my friends at all. They've been very supportive of me and my transition, which I am grateful for, and it's a privilege to have. So I think as I look at a lot of the lessons over time, it's just I say all the time, it's a day by day process. You know, and it's just things that as you transition, you learn over time and you grow over time. But like I say, you have to be very intentional about that, and you have to be willing to see where you are flawed. And I see that. I don't like to look at it, but I do see it. So to kind of wrap this diary, here's what I will say. I will say that if you're waiting to transition, right, I'm not telling you that it won't change your life, because it absolutely will, and it absolutely can. What I will say is that it will not erase every wound that you have. Let me say that. So, you're going to have your bad days, just like anybody, though. There may be times where, like, you're still going to experience anxiety, right? There are going to be times where, like, you're still going to question yourself. And that's just part of being, like, a human being. That has nothing to do with you being trans. You know what I'm saying? So, one thing that I have learned from this is that, although it makes me a new person, right? Technically, from like a physical stance, right, on that exterior. Um, over time, it has still made me the person that I wanted to be this entire time and all along in my entire life. It was just a matter of kind of like, breaking out that shell. Um, but as we go through the rest of life, you're always still going to figure out who you are as a person, and that's okay. With all the success I've had in my life, from the people that I've met, from the news outlets to the videos to the brands to the panels to the travel to the like through all that, I like success is only brings you so much happiness in life, but you still have to go through a lot of the basic trial and error of figuring out to yourself and what that looks like and who you want to be. And like I said, transition doesn't fix all that. It just does it. So, uh, honestly, it's a journey that I am grateful for, and that I will continue to say that I am blessed to have, and blessed to have the amount of support that I have had from my friends and family throughout this journey too, as well. So, through life we continue to go. Now, if any of this video has resonated with you in any way, shape, or form, I would love to hear your experience in the comments. You don't have to be trans. You could be questioning. You could be possibly. You can be. I think when it comes to a journey and doing that self discovery, I think everybody's perspective matters. So I would love to hear you all's feedback in the comments. If you don't mind going to like the video too as well. If you haven't subscribed, I would recommend subscribing. These video diaries might be something I just do off the rip, because I think just being able to talk to y'all, I think is just a good thing, kind of going off script. Sometimes I'm not good at structure. There's another issue in my relationships. I'm not good with structure. So I think sometimes kind of like doing these random rants, not really rants, but random video diaries for y'all on a topic that I'm thinking in my head would be great. Lets me give a little bit closer to y'all, and I can be a little bit impromptu too as well. But as I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the video. I love to continue these conversations on the side with y'all whenever I'm in the mood. It was great spending time with y'all today. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your week. So I'll see y'all next time. One more time though.